The Apple iPhone 5 is finally a reality, but is it enough to keep up with Android? The iPhone 5 versus the Galaxy S3 today on App Judgment. This episode of App Judgment is brought to you by Full Sail University. Welcome to App Judgment, your source for mobile app news and reviews. I'm Jackie Talbot.
And I'm Mauricio Balvanera, and all the rumors, it's no more rumor time for the iPhone 5. It's finally out. It's finally released. You should have seen the iPhone live show we did yesterday?
It was yesterday, yeah, and it's also up on Techzilla right now.
2 days ago.
Two days ago
at this point. Haha. Just kidding. I want to preemptively apologize too. I sound like Marge Simpson right now. I'm a little sick.
You sound awful.
I'm okay.
But I'm glad you're here.
Guys, I'm going to be okay. Seriously, don't sweat it.
It's some zombie-dom.
A zombie-dom. Let's talk about the iPhone 5.
Yeah, so we've taken a look at all of the available specs on the iPhone 5, and we wanted to put together a little side-by-side comparison with the Samsung Galaxy S3.
This little sweetheart
guy
of Android right now. This is a sweet little piece of hardware.
Yeah, it is.
This actually makes my Galaxy Nexus look old.
Makes it look fat.
It makes it look fat? It's not fat, it's just big boned.
We've gone over this.
All right, well, let's take a look at, we know what some of the specs are on the iPhone 5. We know what the specs are on the S3. We know the exact specs. So we're going to go over a few of the technical differences between the two and basically decide whether or not Apple has leapfrogged Android technology. I'm really curious about this because every phone, I think every iteration of the phone should be advancing technology more and more.
In general, not just for itself, but kind of overall.
Exactly. All right, so let's start with the iPhone in terms of standard size. The iPhone is 4.87 inches tall by 2.31 inches wide, and it is 0.31 inches thick or 7.6 millimeters thin. Thin, thick, let's call it thin.
Nice.
The Galaxy S3 is 5.37 inches tall by 2.77 inches wide and only 8.6 millimeters thick. So the S3 obviously takes the cake on size, while the iPhone beats out the S3 in thinness. The iPhone 5 even beats out the HTC One S, which comes in at 7.8 millimeters.
Just barely.
So this isn't really a who's a winner thing because screen size is really dependent on actually device size, because we're going to talk about screen size in a second.
And kind of your preference, like overall how much device do you want to hold on a normal basis.
Exactly. Now I do want my phones to be thinner, so.
Thinner is typically better.
Yeah.
But we should focus a little bit more on the actual display because that's what matters a lot.
Exactly.
So the iPhone is a 4-inch screen, and it's got a resolution of 1,136 by 640 pixels, and it's got a pixels per inch of 326. Now the Samsung S3 is a 4.8-inch screen, and it's 1280 by 720 pixels and 306 pixels per inch. So the iPhone is better in regards to screen resolution. It's a little bit smaller, but it's a lot crisper and clearer.
This is still a gorgeous screen. iPhone 5 is beating it out just slightly.
But they've always had a really great resolution with
the Retina display is pretty cool. Let's talk about battery life. So these are some of the wishy-washy specs on the iPhone. They're claiming, right now, they're claiming 8 hours talk time on 3G, 8 hours of LTE browsing, and 10 hours of video playback. The S3 is talking 8 hours talk time on 3G, and it's actually rated as a 2100 milliamp hour battery. We don't know what the milliamp per hour capacity is on the iPhone 5. They haven't released those specs yet. But unless they end up with some amazing power management or a very big battery, we doubt that the iPhone is going to surpass the S3 in battery life.
This is kind of weird for me because I feel like when I was on Android, the battery lasted considerably less than my iPhone, and the iPhone is claiming now that the iPhone 5 is claiming to have a better battery now, but...
Were you using 4G LTE at the time?
No.
Okay.
No, absolutely not. It didn't exist when I was on Android.
Because my my Galaxy Nexus right now, now that I've updated to Jelly Bean, is matching my iPhone 4's battery life on LTE. So that means, I mean, that's pretty cool.
That's really good.
Yeah.
But lot of people are interested in the camera.
Yes.
So let's talk about that. The iPhone has an 8-megapixel rear camera with an LED flash and records in 1080p HD. The front-facing camera will record in 720p and has a 1.2 megapixel still camera. The Samsung S3 is also a 8-megapixel rear camera with an LED flash and also records 1080p HD, but the front-facing camera is a 1.9 megapixel, which is a little bit more.
Yeah, and now it's really hard to compare 1-megapixel camera to another megapixel camera because there's huge quality differences depending on the lens structure. So
the lens structure of the iPhone 5 is the sapphire lens, which is supposed to be, fancy jewels.
Fancy jewels.
Who knows? It may make a difference. We shall see.
Let's talk about data ports. This one's pretty interesting. So the iPhone is claiming the new Lightning port. They're getting rid of the old proprietary dock and changing it for a new, smaller proprietary dock. Their claims are all digital, 8-signal design, adaptive interface, improved durability, reversible, easy to use. Let me translate this for you. It's USB 2.0. All those magical words.
God, my brain was just so amazed at all these fancy words flying by.
Magical words just coming at us. So what's interesting, the Open Mobile Terminal Platform, the OMTP in 2007, have endorsed the micro USB as the standard connector for data and power on mobile devices. Most notably absent is Apple, as they continue to use their own proprietary docks. Even now, and now all your connected docking stuff for the iPhone is moot. Will no longer work with the iPhone 5.
Yep.
So
there's that.
You're not getting a bump up in speed. I should mention the S3 is using micro USB, which is also a USB 2.0 standard. So they're both the same.
They are the same, except Android's so universal.
Don't confuse Lightning with Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
Thunderbolt and Lightning.
That's just a big fancy word
very
to make you think it's impressive.
Yes. So shame on you, Apple. Shame on you. All right, we're going to finish off with a few more spec comparisons in a sec, but first, we want to thank our sponsor.
So you don't have to hear it from me. We all know that the mobile app industry is on fire right now. Full Sail University's online mobile development bachelor's degree program can teach you the skill set you need to take advantage of these emerging opportunities.
That's right. In this degree, you'll learn both the programming and business side of mobile development so that you can concept, develop, deploy, and market an application from start to finish. You'll explore advanced programming languages, visual frameworks, usability principles, and app deployment for iOS and Android operating systems.
Through Full Sail's Project Launchbox program, students receive a MacBook Pro preloaded with industry software plus iOS and Android devices.
Wow.
Courses are delivered through Full Sail's immersive online education program, which maximizes the capabilities of the Mac, giving you a learning experience like no other.
15 billion mobile apps have been downloaded from the App Store, and Android market share is expected to grow about 600% by the end of 2012. If you're ready to master the technology and software to compete in this rapidly growing industry, visit fullsail.edu/appjudgment to learn more about this online degree program. Now, I went to a competing film school, and I got to say, the people that I've worked with that went to Full Sail,
you know who went to Full Sail? Our friends at Film Riot.
That's right.
Yeah, Ryan Connolly. You know Ryan Connolly.
Yeah.
It's a good school,
So
obviously.
I have no doubt that the the mobile programming division is going to be awesome as well.
That's right.
So,
but hey, back to the iPhone 5, right?
Yeah,
and the
let's do
S3.
that.
Let's talk pricing because that's probably one of my biggest concerns.
Yes. Can I afford this?
Yeah, typically no. But so let's talk the iPhone. It comes in obviously 16, 32, and 64 gigabyte sizes. It's going to be $199 for the 16 gigabyte, $299 for the 32 gigabyte, and $399 for 64 gigabytes. That's across all carriers for the iPhone.
Right.
Now the Galaxy S3 is a little bit different. Kind of depends on what carrier you want.
A little splintered here.
Yeah. So for Sprint, Verizon, and US Cellular, it's going to be $199.99 for the 16 gigabyte S3 and $249.99 for the 32 gigabyte size. On AT&T, it's $199.99 for the 16 gig. The 32 gig is not on AT&T.
Missing. I'm not sure if it's just missing or they haven't priced it out yet.
Not sure. But on T-Mobile, it's $279.99 for the 16 gig and $329.99 for the 32 gigabyte. This is pretty pricey, but you have to keep in mind that T-Mobile is currently the only carrier that's offering truly unlimited data plans.
Yeah.
So it kind of evens out with the monthly
Depending
cost.
on how much data you end up using, it might be worth it.
Right. So it's pretty much the same price until you get to the 32 gig models. You'll be able to get an S3 for about $80 cheaper on Sprint, Verizon, and US Cellular.
That's right. Yeah.
Kind of good.
Let's move on to processor. This is the interesting one. So the iPhone 5 is rocking the new Apple A6 processor. What does that mean? I don't know.
Should be fast.
S3, it should be fast. The S3 is rocking the 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 processor. Now, Apple hasn't released the tech specs for the A6, but the claims are that it's 2 times faster than the iPhone 4S's chip, which has a dual-core 1 gigahertz CPU. So that means that if it ends up being a quad-core chip, it will slightly edge out the S3.
Yeah.
But we don't know. We don't really know the specs on that yet.
Right, and obviously it depends on when you're using it, and kind of like you got to get an idea of it actually using it, not just reading specs. So.
Yeah.
But there are some other things that you will not be getting on Apple's new iPhone. No micro SD, no NFC, no barometer, and no wireless charging capabilities, unfortunately.
Okay. Here's the conclusion. This is what we're getting out of the specs that we know so far.
Right.
So Apple, at best, have matched current Android hardware specs. If you're going to choose the iPhone 5 to September 21st, and that's totally okay with us, it should be because you prefer the OS, not because you feel the hardware is superior. Now, this is purely a benchmarking comparison, because if we talk about build quality, I still think Apple takes the cake on this. But the question we pose at the top, has Apple leapfrogged Android phones? Absolutely not.
Nope.
Nope. They just kind of, they said, hey, me too.
Yeah, they're like, guess what? We can do that. Andrew's like, cool, we've been doing it, but
cool.
that's fun.
Panorama, cool. Turn-by-turn navigation.
Good thinking there, Apple.
Cool. Look, it's a good phone. It is a good phone, but I was expecting more out of these announcements.
It's a little bit underwhelming, but I feel like what my main thing is with the new iPhone is that it's not necessarily trying to go crazy and give everyone all these new crazy things. It's just kind of perfecting on something that they know is working really well. And so maybe they're just like slowly trying to tweak it so it's perfect. But obviously, they're both great devices.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm curious to see what the A6 specs are going to be. As soon as we know, we'll let you guys know.
That'll be a big one.
Yeah.
So we're going to be diving deep into iOS 6 soon, more specifically comparing the Google navigation to Apple's new turn-by-turn navigation.
Yep.
Which should be interesting.
Yeah. So keep in touch. Keep in touch with us.
Yeah. Don't be a stranger.
Hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, subscribe here on YouTube, and Annie will have the latest and greatest in app news tomorrow.
That's right.
We'll see you then.